Hey everyone, Luna here, and today's book review is the Wicca Spellbook, a witch's collection of Wiccan spells, potions, and recipes, and it is by Jarena Dunwich. Now, on the back of the book, it says, The Wicca Spellbook is a grimoire of modern Wiccan magic for both novice and seasoned witches, solitaries, and coveners. After reading this book, I would have to say that it is not a good choice for novices. While it's good for the seasoned witch, it may not be so for the novice. And the reason is that a lot of the spells can be a bit complicated. And if you don't know much about the craft, it can actually backfire. The good thing for novices, if they do get this book, is that it has a good idea of a spell outline. There are many different spells in this book, and not all of them are the same. There's different ways to do each, and it shows as many as you can think of, different ways that people can do spells. None of them, or no, a few of them rhyme. Not all of them rhyme. Some are kind of in haiku form. It's a great use for figuring out a good spell outline. But other than that, that's the only thing that I could see somebody who's new to the craft would use. And I have an example. I got this book, I had to be about 14, 15 years old. So I was pretty new to the craft. I'd only been practicing for about a year or two. And I had broken up with my boyfriend of like 5 months. We were actually pretty serious. And I was feeling really down and really lonely, and I wanted somebody to come into my life and, you know, have a relationship. And granted, I'm 15 years old. I didn't know any better. This was 10 years ago. I did one of the spells in the book, except I didn't do it just right. So the spell kind of backfired. It worked, but it worked too well. While I was trying to get the love of my ex-boyfriend back, I didn't want to go against ethics and specifically say his name, so I just kind of wrote down his initials and ended up with a line of boys waiting, and it was actually very frustrating because I didn't like a lot of these boys. And you just, when opening up a dam, you just gotta let it run its course. So with this spell, I pretty much had to let it run its course before it stopped working. So that's my main reason, is if you don't know what you're doing, if you're really new to the craft, this is not the book for you. Another thing, speaking of the love spells, is that and I did this in my video of love spells and ethics, it goes against the Wiccan Rede in a lot of the love spells. For example, here she states that it is imperative to bear in mind the Wiccan Rede before performing any magical spells, etc. If you violate the Wiccan Rede, even unintentionally, bad karma will instantly come back to you whether you believe in it or not. If you deliberately harm or manipulate another person, you will pay for it. And this is, of course, there's editing involved with those words, but she pretty much states that you cannot manipulate somebody against their will. It is against the law. And a lot of these spells, especially, well, there's a good chunk of love spells, are to attract a particular person, to attract the love of a particular gentleman or lady. And this is the Aphrodite love spell, and that's the one that I used, and that went astray. Then there's a few more in here, but there are some good things, like the spell for poetic inspiration, aphrodisiacs. But here's one to reunite parted lovers. So there's another one that I would be against. So with the exception of the love spells, in general, I actually like this book. It's got tons of general information. It's minimal information, like very minimal. It covers several different aspects of the craft. It covers amulets, mojo magic, divination magic, the Sabbats, some recipes, as well as herbs, and even dreams and things like that, and different types of divination. The thing is that it's very, very, very minimal. It doesn't go in depth of it. Look how small this book is. It's about this big. It's about as big as my head, and this thin. It's very, very minimal. There's not a lot of information in it. So I would suggest that this book is more of a supplement than find out, you know, little things here and there, or even where to start looking. One great thing about it is in the back.
Where is it? In the back, there's a bibliography page. And in this bibliography, there is a bunch of books that I recommend. There's some stuff by Scott Cunningham. The first one is Drawing Down the Moon by Margot Adler, which is one that I highly recommend. And it also has, and granted this book was copyrighted in 1994, so I don't know how valid most of these are, but it also has resources in the back that you could contact, you know, for supplies or whatever. Things like that. You know, supplies, poetry, magazines. It has them all. Like just a little small search of basic ones. And I don't know how valid those are now, considering that was in 94. It's 2011 now, so I don't know how many of those are still valid. Anyway, this is pretty much the pros and the cons of the Wicca Spellbook by Jarena Dunwich. I hope this was helpful. In general, I would recommend this book as a supplement. I don't think it's a bad book to have. I don't think it's a great book to have. If you didn't have it in your library, that'd be okay. But it's great to just add a little extra something. So anyways, you guys have a great night and brightest blessings.